Listen carefully, because what I'm about to say will make some of you uncomfortable. And that's exactly the point. Most men are walking around, blind, thinking that being nice or charming is enough to make a woman chase them. Let me be brutally honest. It's not. Not even close. The truth is, 90% of men are doing it all wrong, and it's ruining their chances without them even realizing it. If you're one of those guys who has ever wondered why she loses interest, or why she seems just not that into you, this video is your wake-up call, because I'm about to expose the exact female psychology tricks that make a woman obsessed, not just interested, with a man. Here's the controversial truth right away. Most men think women fall for confidence, money, or good looks. That's a lie you've been fed. Confidence helps. Sure, money can attract attention, maybe even comfort. And yes, looks might open the door, but none of that makes her obsessed. What makes a woman obsessed is far deeper, and it's something most men can't even see. Most men don't understand that female attraction is driven by subtle psychological cues, emotional triggers, and patterns of behavior that they are either too scared or too lazy to master. And that laziness is exactly why most men fail. Let's be clear. There is no magic potion. There is no secret spell. But there is a method. And it's not about manipulation in a dirty or unethical sense. It's about understanding human psychology and applying it in a way that naturally makes a woman want more of you. Once you grasp this, you will stop chasing and start being chased. That's the power of understanding female psychology. Here's something that will sting. If you're average, she will treat you like average. If you're predictable, she will lose interest faster than you can blink. And if you're just another nice guy who bends over backward to please her, congratulations! You've just made yourself invisible. Women are wired to notice patterns, tension, and challenge. They are attracted to men who create an emotional impact, who challenge them, who are unpredictable in the right ways, and who hold themselves with confidence and control. This isn't about arrogance. It's about mastering your inner world, so she can't get enough of your outer presence. Now, before you get defensive, let me warn you. This isn't for everyone. If you're not ready to take responsibility for your own growth, if you want a quick fix or a manipulative trick that gets her to text you back, you'll fail. The women who become obsessed with a man aren't obsessed with a version of you. They are obsessed with a man who has leveled up in life, who commands attention without begging for it, and who consistently triggers emotions she can't resist. That's a controversial statement right there. And some of you might hate me for it, but it's the truth. Here's the second controversial point. You need to stop worshipping her. Stop putting her on a pedestal. Women don't want men who worship them. They want men who respect themselves, men who create intrigue, men who hold space for their own lives while inviting her into it. This doesn't mean ignoring her. It means being intentional with your energy, your attention, and your actions. Most men fail because they give everything to women before she even feels the need to pursue them. And that's a fast track to being forgotten. Now here's where most men choke. Emotional connection. You think it's about deep conversations and long messages. Wrong. It's about triggering feelings that keep her thinking about you when you're not there. It's about creating tension, excitement, and subtle, emotional highs and lows that make her mind and heart revolve around your presence. Women obsess over what makes them feel something profound, not what makes them feel comfortable or safe all the time. That's why being too nice is deadly in attraction. It removes the emotional stakes. Finally, let me give you the mindset shift that changes everything. Stop chasing. Start living. Stop trying to win her over with words or gifts. Instead, become the kind of man whose energy, presence, and mystery naturally make her obsessed. And yes, it is possible for any man, regardless of looks, social status, or past failures to trigger this obsession, but it requires discipline, self-awareness, and an understanding of female psychology that most men will never take the time to learn. That's why this video is for you. If you're ready to wake up, if you're tired of being ignored, if you want her to chase you instead of the other way around, pay attention. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools, the insights, and the understanding to make a woman not just like you, but think about you, desire you, and yes, even obsess over you. This is controversial. This is eye-opening, and it will challenge everything you thought you knew about attraction. But it works, and if you follow it, you'll start seeing results faster than you ever imagined. So strap in, because what comes next isn't theory. It's a blueprint for creating obsession based on real psychology, proven patterns, and human behavior that never lies. And if you're serious about changing the way women respond to you forever, this video is your first step. 1. Create emotional tension that keeps her hooked. Most men think attraction is all about being fun or handsome. That's a lie that ruins their chances every single day. Women don't just want a man who makes her laugh or looks good. They want a man who makes her feel. Real attraction is emotional, not physical. And if you don't understand that, you're setting yourself up for failure. Here's the brutal truth. Women are wired to respond to emotional highs and lows. They crave a connection that makes them feel alive, intrigued, and even slightly challenged. When you are predictable, always agreeing with her, or constantly available, you remove all tension. Without tension, there's no emotional impact. And without emotional impact, she stops thinking about you. That's why most men get ignored after a few dates or never move past casual conversation. The secret is simple, but rarely practiced. Create emotional tension without being manipulative. This isn't about playing games or lying. It's about being present in a way that triggers her emotions naturally. For example, showing confidence while maintaining a hint of mystery makes her wonder what you're thinking, what you'll do next, and how much she really knows about you. That curiosity keeps her mind engaged. Even when you're not around, women obsess over what they can't fully understand, not what's fully explained. Let's break it down. Imagine you're talking to her and she shares a personal story. Most men respond with empathy. Oh, that's tough. I get it. And then move on. That's safe, but boring. To create emotional tension, respond in a way that shows understanding, but also adds intrigue or challenges her perspectives lightly. For instance, you might say, "Wow, that's intense. I can see why you handled it that way. But I wonder how you'd react in a completely different situation." You're not criticizing her. You're not putting her down. You're creating a thought ripple that makes her engage deeper. Suddenly, she's thinking about you later, replaying the conversation, and wondering how your mind works. That feeling of wanting to understand you is exactly what makes her obsess. Another key point most men ignore is balance. Too much tension, and you'll feel like a cold or detached person. Too little, and she'll lose interest. The goal is to alternate emotional intensity, sometimes playful, sometimes serious, sometimes mysterious. By doing this consistently, she starts to associate you with emotional stimulation. This is powerful because humans, men and women alike, crave experiences that trigger feelings. When you consistently make her feel something she can't ignore, you automatically become important in her mind. Here's where most men fail. They try to force the tension. They overthink, overanalyze, and end up sounding awkward or fake. The key is to integrate tension naturally into your interactions. Be confident, show genuine interest, but don't reveal everything about yourself at once. Leave space for curiosity. When she doesn't know every detail about your life, she starts creating stories in her mind about you. And guess what? Women obsess over the stories they create themselves. This principle also applies outside of direct conversations. your lifestyle, social presence, and the way you carry yourself all contribute to emotional tension. If she sees you living an interesting life, pursuing goals, and confidently handling challenges, she starts feeling that pull without even needing words. Women are drawn to men who spark emotions that make them think, reflect, or even slightly crave more interaction. That's why a man who has his own passions, hobbies, and social circles naturally triggers obsession. Think about it this way. If she's texting you and your responses are consistent, confident, and slightly unpredictable, she will start timing her day around you. She'll check her phone, hoping you'll respond in the way that keeps her thinking about you. That's the level of attraction you're aiming for. It's subtle, but it works. Emotional tension isn't about being mean, mysterious for no reason, or cold. It's about being alive, dynamic, and engaging in a way that makes her invest mentally and emotionally. Finally, let's address the biggest misconception. Some men believe creating emotional tension is manipulation. It's not. You're not tricking her. You're demonstrating your value through your presence, behavior, and energy. You're showing her that life with you is interesting, challenging, and exciting, which is exactly what makes her think about you when you're not around. The obsession doesn't come from deception. It comes from understanding the psychology of attention and attraction and using responsibly to make a connection that feels natural but magnetic. In short, stop being predictable. Stop being the nice guy who's always available. Start creating moments that make her feel something. Curiosity, excitement, intrigue, challenge. Combine confidence with mystery, presence with unpredictability, and your interactions with meaningful emotional cues. Do this consistently, and she won't just like you. She'll start thinking about you, constantly, wondering what you're doing, and even craving the next interaction with you. That's the first cornerstone of making a woman obsessed. 2. Build unshakable confidence that draws her. And let's be honest, most men don't understand confidence. They think it's about looking perfect, having the right car, or saying the right things. That's the kind of shallow confidence that fades the moment things get real. True confidence isn't built on appearances or temporary achievements. It's built on a sense of self that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. And that's exactly what women notice. You've probably experienced it without even realizing it. Think about the women who immediately catch your attention. It's rarely the loudest person in the room or the one trying too hard to impress. It's the person who seems comfortable in their own skin, who knows their worth and doesn't need validation from anyone else. That energy is magnetic. Women are drawn to men who carry themselves with certainty, who don't panic over small setbacks, and who don't overcomplicate interactions. That sense of inner stability is irresistible. Now, here's where most men fail. They try to fake confidence. They overcompensate with jokes, flashy behavior, or excessive compliments, hoping it will cover up their insecurity. And women can smell that immediately. It's exhausting to interact with someone who is constantly performing instead of being authentic. You've likely been there before, trying too hard, overthinking every word, feeling nervous around someone you like, and it never works. In fact, it often has the opposite effect. Real confidence comes from knowing yourself, setting boundaries, and being okay with the possibility that she might not be interested. That's a controversial truth many men hate to hear. The men who get the most attention from women are not chasing. They are living, thriving, and existing in a way that she wants to be part of, not the center of. Women can sense when a man's life is full, balanced, and meaningful, and it naturally draws them in without a single word. Think about it in everyday life. How often have you noticed yourself more intrigued by someone who seems calm under pressure, who handles challenges smoothly, and who doesn't get flustered when things don't go their way. That's the kind of energy that makes women obsessed. Not superficial gestures, no tempty promises, not forced charm. It's consistent, grounded, and real. You can relate to it because you felt it yourself when interacting with confident people, whether in school, at work, or socially. You felt that pull and wanted to be around that energy more. That's exactly what you want to create. Here's another reality check. Confidence is not about controlling her or being domineering. It's about owning your space in the world while still respecting hers. Women are attracted to men who can take the lead when necessary, but aren't needy or desperate for attention. They notice when you handle rejection gracefully, when you stay composed in uncomfortable situations, and when you keep living your life with purpose, regardless of their response. That's what triggers intrigue and obsession. Seeing a man who doesn't crumble under pressure and has a life worth being part of. Most men also underestimate the power of nonverbal confidence. Body language, tone of voice, and the way you carry yourself speak louder than words ever could. You can be saying all the right things, but if your posture is slouched, your voice lacks conviction, and your energy seems anxious, she'll lose interest fast. Women notice subtle cues constantly. You've probably experienced it. Someone can say everything right, but their nervous energy makes you feel uneasy or unsure. That's why true confidence must come from within, not just from acting or performing externally. Finally, confidence becomes addictive when it's combined with authenticity. Women can sense when you're real versus when you're pretending to fit a mold. Authentic men who are confident in who they are create a sense of security while still being exciting and unpredictable. You can relate to this because you've likely gravitated toward people who make you feel comfortable, challenged, and intrigued at the same time. That's the psychological pull you want her to feel. So if you want a woman to start thinking about you constantly, stop worrying about trying to impress her. Stop focusing on external validation. Start building confidence that is visible in your actions, presence, and mindset. Live your life fully, handle challenges calmly, and be comfortable with who you are. That energy alone will make her drawn to you, curious about you, and increasingly invested in your presence without you saying a single word, trying to convince her otherwise. 3. Be unpredictable and keep her guessing. Here's a hard truth most men need to hear. If you're predictable, boring, and too easy to read, women will lose interest fast. You've probably done it yourself. Over-explaining, always agreeing, or bending over backward just to be liked. And how did that work out for you? Chances are, not very well. Most men are walking around in autopilot, thinking that nice and available equals attraction. That's not just wrong. It's the reason most men get ignored, ghosted, or forgotten. Women are naturally drawn to challenge, to excitement, and to the unknown. That doesn't mean being manipulative or cruel. It means being interesting, dynamic, and a man who can hold his own while still inviting her into your life. Think about the people you've been genuinely curious about. Were they predictable, or did they have layers, surprises, and moments that kept you thinking about them long after the interaction ended? That's exactly how women respond to men who understand this principle. Most men fail because they're stuck in the trap of over-explaining themselves. They reveal everything too quickly, hopes, fears, past experiences, and then wonder why she loses interest. Here's the reality. Mystery is magnetic. When you don't lay all your cards on the table at once, you create space for Herman to engage, wonder, and fill in the gaps. She starts thinking about you when you're not there, replaying moments and imagining possibilities. That's the foundation of obsession. Let's also address the elephant in the room. Many men are way too available. They respond immediately to every message, drop everything to meet her, and expect attention in return. Wake up. This isn't how attraction works. When you are always accessible, you remove tension, and predictability becomes your enemy. Women notice this subconsciously, and it diminishes attraction. You've probably seen it in your own life, how people chase those who are a little harder to get or seem a bit elusive. It's uncomfortable, but it's the truth. Being unpredictable isn't about games or manipulation. It's about living your life fully, following your own schedule, and having interests, goals, and priorities outside of her. When she sees that you have a life she wants to be part of, rather than a life she can control, she becomes more interested. Women are wired to notice a man who doesn't bend his world around them, who challenges them in subtle ways, and who maintains his own identity while inviting connection. That's the kind of energy that triggers genuine obsession. Here's the criticism most men need. Too many of you are lazy in the way you approach attraction. You expect results without investing in yourself, your energy, or your presence. You think attraction is something you can manufacture with compliments, attention, or smooth lines. It's not. Wake up. Women aren't impressed by effort alone. They are drawn to men who have built a life, a mindset, and an aura that makes them stand out naturally. If you aren't interesting, intriguing, or dynamic, don't be surprised when she moves on. Relate to this. Think about how you feel when someone tries too hard to impress you. It's exhausting, right? It doesn't make you respect them. It makes you feel burdened and even a little annoyed. That's exactly how women feel when men overcompensate for a lack of inner value with superficial effort. Obsession comes from intrigue, not trying too hard. It comes from being the man who has depth, unpredictability, and presence. Qualities that can't be faked. Finally, the wake-up call. If you want a woman to obsess over you, stop being the predictable, over-available man who waits for her attention. Step into your life fully, maintain your standards, and let your actions speak louder than your words. Show her that you are someone worth thinking about, worth wondering about, and worth pursuing, not someone who will collapse if she doesn't reply immediately. Women are naturally attracted to men who live on their own terms, and once you understand that, your presence will become addictive. In short, unpredictability isn't about playing games. It's about being alive, authentic, and fully engaged in your own life. Stop being boring. Stop being predictable, and stop waiting for her validation. Wake up, build your world, and let her chase the man who stands apart from the rest. When you do this consistently, she won't just like you. She'll think about you constantly, crave your attention, and yes, even become obsessed with your presence, without you having to force it. Before we wrap this up, I want to drop a truth that most men will hate hearing, but it's the reality you need to face. If you ever want a woman to genuinely obsess over you, here it is. Most men are completely unaware of how boring they've become to women. Yes, I said it. And before you get defensive, think about it. How many times have you been ignored, overlooked, or forgotten? Not because she didn't like you, but because you didn't make her feel something worth remembering. Wake up. Most men coast through life, chasing women with predictable behaviors, overexposure, and desperate attempts to be liked. And that's exactly why so many women never think about them. After a date or worse, drift away entirely. Here's the hard part. You can't fix this by doing the same old things you've always done. Compliments, gifts, constant attention. They don't work on women who know their own value. The moment you become predictable, you become invisible. The men who command obsession aren't perfect. They aren't flawless. And they certainly aren't always nice in the conventional sense. They are interesting. They are confident. They are men who live their lives on their own terms, while inviting a woman into that world in a way she can't resist. And that, my friend, is a skill very few men take seriously. But it's the only skill that truly matters when it comes to attraction. I want to challenge you. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I living a life that makes women genuinely curious about me? Am I the man she can't stop thinking about because I'm predictable and safe, or because I'm dynamic, intriguing, and present in ways she can't fully understand? Most men will lie to themselves here. They'll say, I'm confident, or I have a lot going on. But if you're honest, you know you aren't creating that pull, that tension, that magnetic energy that keeps her thinking about you even when you're not around. That's the controversial truth. If she isn't obsessed with you, it's neither fault, it's yours. And that's a reality most men refuse to face. But there's the good news. You can change this. It starts with awareness. Once you understand what women respond to, emotional tension, authenticity, unpredictability, and unshakable confidence, you can start rewiring your interactions, your mindset, and your presence. You can stop being average and start becoming a man who naturally commands attention, curiosity, and yes, obsession. And the best part, none of this requires you to change who you are fundamentally. It requires you to level up, focus on your life, and become the man who lives fully, while letting a woman chase the experience of being around you. I also want you to remember this. Attraction isn't transactional. It isn't about how much you do, how much you give, or how many times you say the right thing. It's about presence. It's about energy. It's about creating moments that trigger emotions she can't ignore. And once you start mastering that, you will notice a shift, not just in her attention, but in the way women respond to you everywhere. That's the power of understanding human psychology, understanding female attraction, and taking responsibility for your own life. Now, here's what I want from you. Comment below with your experiences. Tell me about the moments where you felt ignored, overlooked, or frustrated. Also, tell me when you noticed a shift in your interactions, when things finally started to click. I read every comment, and I will reach out to connect with those of you who are serious about leveling up. This isn't just theory. I want to build a connection with men who are ready to face the truth, challenge themselves, and take control of the attraction dynamics in their lives. So, here's the final very controversial takeaway. If women aren't obsessed with you, it's not because you're unlucky or she's hard to get. It's because you haven't taken control of your presence, your energy, and your life in a way that demands attention. Most men will never admit it. Most men will never fix it. And most men will stay stuck complaining. Don't be most men. Wake up, step into your power, level up, and watch how everything changes. This isn't easy. It's not supposed to be, but nothing worth having ever is. And if you're willing to face this truth, to take action, and to start building the kind of presence that makes women obsess, naturally, you're about to enter a completely new reality. One where you stop chasing and start being chased. Where attention is automatic, curiosity is constant, and attraction becomes something you understand and control on your own terms. Comment your experiences below. Share your stories, your struggles, and your wins. I want to hear from you, and I will connect with those of you who are serious. This is your chance to wake up, take responsibility, and become the man women can't stop thinking.